Welcome back to the Seagulls Stadium, and we just await the arrival of the two teams. And a good crowd in for this Nissan Friday nighter. And Ray Herring takes out the Seagulls, who can really bridge the gap and really tighten up this Winfield Cup competition with a win tonight at home. They go in as underdogs, but a tremendous performance last week to beat Newcastle at Newcastle. A feat not often achieved by many. Good side in this Gold Coast team tonight too, with some internationals. David King, the son of Johnny King, in the front row, and Huey McGann, the experienced captain of Eastern Suburbs, the former Kiwi skipper. And he's got a side travelling out onto the field with him tonight who are in form, starting to put some impressive wins together and are threatening into the top five. McGann has decided to call it quits on the international scene this year. He has told New Zealand selectors that he's not going to change his mind. They would love him to do it. Mark Prothero out on the wing. Bruce Sinclair back into the side. We just stand by for the playing of the national anthem. It is Eastern Suburbs on 9 Winfield Cup points, the Gold Coast on 5. The referee in charge, Mr. Brian Grant. And the Roosters haven't won here at the Seagulls Stadium since 1988. The first year that the Gold Coast came in. Salvatore signed a new contract with East this week, and the big front rower kicks us off. Down to David King,
who looks nothing like his dad, of course, a speedster, great try scorer for St George in Australia, but he'd be a very proud dad. Big David has worked his way into this Gold Coast side with some strong performances. Out of the land of the Giants.
Dixon plays it back. Nella. Keith Nella, who had that stint in England with the Halifax club, picked up a winner's medal at a Challenge Cup final at Wembley. Just inside their own 22. Early tackles and setting for the kick. Herring from dummy half. Gavin Orr getting back there with Prothero. Plenty of chasing from the Gold Coast. 92 points for the Coast. 184 against 121 for East. And a better defence by 23. 20 tries from the Roosters this year. 16 for the Gold Coast, so not a lot in the stats between the sides. Sinclair. His run wasn't needed as Grant gets Tony Durham inside the 5 metres on a blindside. And an opportunity for East to go for goal. McGann asking the question. A chat to Salvatore.
Well, if his kick-off to start the game's any indication, Graham, he'll have no problem with the distance.
It's interesting, you don't see a lot of front rowers kick for goal. There have been some over the years, I know, but
Harry Bath?
Yeah, Harry Bath is always the one that stands out. But
Henry Tartner.
Henry Tartner was a great goal kicker for Canterbury and New Zealand, but not that many when you consider all the props that go around. But this fellow kicks off because he kicks the ball further than anyone else in the club, and it's only early in the game. And of course he hasn't had to draw a breath yet, so he's as fresh as could be. He should get the distance, no problem.
Well, he hasn't drawn any blood as far as goal kicking is concerned in 91. No goals from him. Salvatore, 32 metres out, 11 metres in from the sideline. It's coming back, but it won't come back enough. Just getting back into the field of play is Denny Sharp. 0-0 the Gold Coast and East. The Gold Coast really making the mistake of travelling out near the sideline. 5 metres out from their own line. The Roosters charging in defence. King. Nearly to the 10-metre line. Now they get a penalty. The Roosters inside the 5. Some of the inside backs. So Grant trying to keep these two sides apart.
And Grant certainly on show tonight in our Nissan Friday night game here at Seagulls Stadium. He's the only referee that's come out of reserve grade into first grade this year. He came up and Neil Armand went down, so he certainly will be after a good one.
And he's a referee from the Northern Rivers area as well, not far from here. He's based in Casino.
Junior, how's that ground down there? It looks a little bit slippery.
It's very, very dewy on the surface here, a lot of moisture. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised to see handling become a bit of a problem as the moisture continues to settle.
From the dewy specialist himself, Junior Pearce.
Hall of Fame.
Just inside Roosters territory. Switch of play for Simpkins. He coughs it up and Sherlock is there. Marshall, plenty of players in both sides with headgears. On a blind side for Vorton. Vorton, who the Roosters say they're keen to sign him up for another season after his form this year. Sinclair turned in the tackle, looked to unload, it wasn't on at all. Marshall milking it for a penalty. Grant wouldn't have anything to do with it. The defence, meantime, had plenty of pace to get up there and cut off Sherlock. Now, Salvatore from a long way back gets them to 30 metres out. Right in midfield on the last tackle. The switch to Sherlock. Midfield bomb coming down for Sharp to handle. Climbing up, he fumbles it. Easton got it back with 6 more. The Gold Coast rush back in defence. Marshall. Hill drags it in. 3 defenders on him, he can't unload. It's emergency now for the Gold Coast. Orford made his debut last week for East. He will play at 9 metres out. Beecraft stepping, and Beecraft loses it. Knock on against the Roosters. Beecraft is one of 3 members of this East side signing new contracts this week. He signed a new 2-year deal.
He's been playing very well. He's very good at getting the ball away in tackles, and for a young player, that's an art that usually doesn't come until a lot later in second row forwards and front row forwards careers, but he's done a good job of it. Penalty to the Gold Coast, and that'll relieve a bit of pressure from them because they've made a pretty ordinary start to this game. They've got to get the football in Eastern Suburbs territory. For the Gold Coast to cause an upset, they need to get their nose in front early.
That's what they did against Newcastle, and they kept it there. Brendan Hall and Salvatore are the others signing new contracts for East this week. Miller was on the inside with a switch earlier on tonight here at the Seagulls Stadium. President's Cup victory to East 12-4. And the Gold Coast 16 defeated East 8 in reserves. And that puts Graham Eadie's Gold Coast reserve grade side just 1 point away from the top spot in reserve grade. Little chip over the top. Some variation. Salvatore was there to cover. The 2 Bretts at half and 5'8", Ross and Rolls for the Gold Coast. McGowan to Sinclair. 45 metres out the Roosters. Vorton running with support from Beecraft, who busts the line. A bit of a step. Now he shows it with a dummy. Herring solidly over the top, a swinging arm in that. Some reaction from Beecraft, who goes back to his haunches. Vorton, he's grabbed high, and Beecraft just in the foreground there, grabbing his head. Through the legs of Marshall, knocked back. Hill to the in goal. Knocked on. That needed to be taken by Gonzalez because that was going into the in goal and there was a chance on the end. Now Herring was the man that chased Beecraft, and bang, well and truly high. Gavin into the back line, 11 metres out. Well read by Sharp to come into the line. Hill with a quick ball. Met taken by Nella. He gets assistance from Paul Dixon. It's been all east territorially. Sherlock. He had Sinclair on the inside. Still 10 metres away, the Roosters looking for this try. Marshall on a simple run around, ducking, nearly getting through. Right in front of the post, Beecraft at dummy half.
Shocking play the ball. Terrible play the ball by Wayne Marshall, right in front of the opposition's sticks, and the referee with no alternative. Watch him on the Nissan replay. There it is.
Well, there was a hand in there from King.
There certainly was, but it was a terrible attempt at playing the ball.
Maybe they got away with one.
He's under a little bit of pressure, Marshall. He's been playing well, but David Truella, a strong game in reserve grade, even though East were beaten. And, of course, he's a class player, and with a month of football under his belt, he could pressure Marshall.
Now a knock on. It's catching as far as the hookers are concerned. Herring with a fumble.
Yeah, Gold Coast had a very good win last week against Newcastle, and it would have been a pleasure to get the 2 points, but the problem when you play Newcastle is how you come up the next week.
Now, only a minute or so ago, they get one against the feed. Grant penalised Borton for breaking from the scrum. Well, he was out of that scrum for a good 10-15 seconds with the ball still in there and right in front of him, and he did nothing about it. Now the Gold Coast, with that win by Herring, some relief for them. It's 0-0, the Gold Coast and East.
Well, they're digging their own grave by not getting rid of the football downfield. They're in their own territory. They've tried to battle their way through East strong defence. They've come up with mistakes. They've got to kick.
Now they kick. Brett rolls. That's why he was selected against Newcastle. 0-0, the Gold Coast and East. Nissan Friday night. Nil all, the Gold Coast and East. The scrum to go down just outside the East 22. First time they've been back in their own ground here. Gavin Orr standing up in the line. Now Prothero to have a run from dummy half. First home match for the Gold Coast side that we've seen this season. And it's without Wally Lewis, who was on State of Origin duty. Sinclair. So they beat the Knights without him last week.
Got to say, Graham, Seagulls Stadium is a credit to the Gold Coast club. It's a magnificent stadium which ranks amongst the best in the Winfield Cup. Now
Deacon gets outside his man Power, bringing in Prothero. One more tackle for the Roosters. Going to settle for this midfield bomb again. Brendan Hall puts it up. Way up. Sharp mistimes his run. They get 6 more. Got back against East, so they continue on through Borton. Borton to Hill. Hill steps, beats the first man, beats King. Still going inside the 22 and carrying defenders with him. Again, slow play the balls. They're not having any luck in that situation. Beecraft just settles it down. Marshall looking for another quick play of the ball. They still don't get it. Sherlock switching to McGahn. McGahn met. King had him. Now, Borton keeping it alive for Sherlock. Likewise to Sinclair. Better passing. Chance on the left if they can get it out. Hall. Cut out passes. Salvatore to Deacon. And he was chopped off by Darryl Powell. Salvatore still on the blind side with Orr. He loses it back. It's on the handover. So good defence in the end, some scrambling stuff from the Gold Coast, but they survived.
Yeah, they certainly did, and they've had the tackle for most of this game so far. They've a couple of mistakes from high kicks. McGahn went up, knocked it back for 6 more, so they had 12 in that last sequence to tackle, and they've tackled very well, but they can't do it all night.
Dixon ducked one, then stood in a couple of tackles to unload. One of the best Great Britain players in the Test series at the Kangaroo Tour last year. Plenty of ball skills. Now they kick again, but this will end up in the back of the stand. All the way back in under intense pressure now.
That was a bad kick, and that's just frustration. That would have been better off down the centre of the field and a good chase. And that was going for too much, and they could pay.
Sherlock showing the New Zealand selectors that he can play anywhere in the back line. Prothero.
Well, he won't be half back, so he's got to play somewhere else.
You don't think he'll make the squad?
He may make the squad, but he won't be halfback. That job is Gary for him.
Now Borton with a little fumble. Borton takes it calmly. Just trying to get up and play it off the knees of a Gold Coast player, but it wasn't played at by him.
And once again, the Gold Coast saving their best defence for when their backs to the wall near their own try line. They'll make life a lot easier, Graham, if they show the same sort of commitment with their defensive line when they get Eastern Suburbs up in their own half.
Clinton Moore trying to step his way through. 30 tackles in the opposition half for the Roosters, only the one for the Gold Coast. King gets away a short ball. Gonzalez.
Roll off inside, roll clear. Lead in the lane, 3.
Durham. They've played without the ball.
They've also played a fair bit of one-out football as well. I like to see them supporting more and also chasing these kicks when they do kick.
Now they try to make Gavin Orr run, but it bounces straight to him. Into the arms of Dixon and also Powell, the two Englishmen.
Yeah, what they can't do here, Gold Coast, is just let Eastern Suburbs get the ball in this set of 6 down in their quarter again. They've got to try and hold them here and make Eastern Suburbs kick.
Salvatore.
The rare side in rugby league, 2 poms and the 1 tackle.
A kind man. Huey McGann turning for Marshall and for Beecraft. That's got a support play in the forwards. Sherlock starting to have a little bit of time to look for supports. The possession, the weight of it is starting to show. Last tackle. Sherlock changing it this time, not the midfield bomb. Awkward bounce for Sharp, who lets it run dead in goal. Back to the 22. Something different, a little bit of variety, but it was trying to be weighted just to stay near the in-goal area. Awkward bounce for East and the Gold Coast. No problems in the end for Sharp.
Territorially, all Eastern Suburbs so far, as the statistics showed, only 1 tackle inside their own half of Eastern Suburbs had to make. So the Gold Coast have weathered the early storm from Eastern Suburbs, but they've got to start doing a little bit more, as Wayne Pearce suggested, with this football.
The worry for Eastern Suburbs is you don't get points for territorial position, do you? And they haven't got the ball over the try line. How often do you see a team without any ball get down the opposition end and then stick one on themselves?
They might have a chance right here, Bill. And as we wait for them to take the kick, Johnny Croucher, tell us the story about Footy Tab tonight.
Well, Graham, there's $47,000 in the Pick to Score dividend pool on this game, and despite the win over Newcastle last week, only about 25% of the punters have gone for the Gold Coast compared to 70% for East. Many entries think East are going to win by a very big margin, Graham. The Footy Tab computer agrees basically. East 16 to 20, Gold Coast 8 to 12.
He watches the Gold Coast make the mistake of not finding the sideline. Hill wrapped up.
That's unforgivable for a first-grade footballer. I don't care if they win the game. He should be docked a winning bonus if they win. You can't win football games by not finding the sideline with simple penalty kicks.
The Roosters have made a change. Rod Silver is out there at fullback. Gavin Orr has left the field. And the Roosters get another penalty. Holding down in the tackle. Reminder about Sunday. Very important day to help out the Salvation Army. They do so much good work. Red Shield Appeal Day. We certainly hope that everybody gets behind the Salvos to give them some great support on Sunday. Beecraft kicking for the sideline and kicking well to go about 15 metres out.
And instead of being in the opposition quarter, they are on their own quarter, the Gold Coast, and have to defend again.
3-2, the penalties to the Gold Coast. They need some more defence here and now. Brendan Hall dummying his way across the field. Right towards the posts. McGann was waiting on a blind. They went to Sherlock on the open. Slipping as Vorton. Getting it back to Marshall. Marshall ducking. Weaving getting through. 8 metres out. McGann staying with his backs. Sherlock Salvatore charging onto it. His pass goes into no man's land on the toe from Clinton Moore. And the advantage for the Gold Coast to travel 45 metres out from the east line. So some sloppy play from East. They've had all the chances. They can't convert them into points. The forwards take some time to get back for the scrum.
And just to report on Gavin Orr, he has an ankle injury and it's uncertain whether he'll return to the field or not.
Silver looks like he might be out there for the duration. 0-0 the Gold Coast and East. Vorton thinking about a career in England, Paul Vorton, and weighing up that offer of a new East contract.
And he's really come to life this year. I suppose that shows you how important it is to be happy at a club. And this year he's a lot happier, playing much better football. Unlucky not to be in the Queensland State of Origin side.
He's a lot fitter too, Junior, and I think that's had a lot to do with the way he's playing. He's certainly rejuvenated his career with that fitness campaign in the off-season.
Yeah, when you're keen and hungry, you put in a lot more in the training paddock, as is evidenced by him.
Now he's making some mistakes. Bad ones. Missed tackles of 5 against the Gold Coast. The Roosters are guilty in the handling department. Floating it out to bring Denny Sharp into the line. Midway through this first half, David King, he left it behind. Didn't completely have his eyes on the ball. The Roosters with another chance. Salvatore, Marshall, Bort. That's not the form that he showed this year. An awful pass straight into the arms of Gonzalez to put the Gold Coast on attack. Miller. Now the crowd warming to it because this is their first chance down here. Over the sideline. The greasy surface was against Brett Ross there. He just slipped and he couldn't stop his momentum.
Yeah, he'd have needed an anchor here to stop himself, Brett Ross. He was tackled some 3 or 4 metres inside the touchline but couldn't pull up.
Yeah, the players having a lot of trouble keeping their footing on this ground. We saw Vorton step a few moments ago and almost slip, and certainly on that occasion, Ross was tackled well inside and slipped straight across.
They've been having some heavy showers every morning on the coast and clearing up by the afternoon, but still too much around here.
Interfered with your golf, has it?
We managed to get on. Thank you. 5-2. The handling errors against the Roosters. Big blindside to operate if they wish from the scrum. Simpkins goes the open from lock. He slipped as he turned. Nella keen to get on with it. Dixon. Right in midfield now. King across the ruck trying to link up. 12 metres out the Gold Coast. They've had to soak it all up at the other end. Nella back on the inside. Durham stopping and then starting again 10 metres out. Rolls to the in goal. This one's going to be too deep as well. So it comes back to the 22 for the Roosters.
He may have kicked well against Newcastle last week, but certainly night conditions a lot different to kick in his kicking game tonight. A couple over the sideline and that no pressure at all.
Pretty difficult to judge those kicks in goal as well because this grass is so thick. You have to put a bit more on the ball, but in that case it didn't stop.
Good support play from the Roosters. Brendan Hall backing up his forwards. More penalties. Brian Grant staying very strong on the 5 metres. Michael Searle we saw out there in 41 for the Gold Coast.
Played hooker on occasions for them. I have never seen a bigger hooker anywhere in the world than Michael Searle. I would hate to have been a front rower trying to keep him up.
Now Beecraft deciding not for goal. Huey McGann thinks it's time. They've got to show something for all this possession. Brendan Hall with the restart. Set piece by East. McGann quickly to the backs. Sherlock. Vorton. 20 metres out the Roosters. All the ball and they haven't been able to lay on a try. Brendan Hall still in midfield. Good working defence from the Gold Coast. Marshall ankle tapped as he tried to find a gap up the middle. Salvatore, no one to pass to. He had to take off. Good struggling run. 5 metres out East. One more tackle to get across the line. Straight across the field. Bounce of the ball goes to East. 6 more. Now Terry Hill lost it back. Play on. Orford taken by Gonzalez and the ball was ripped out of his hands. You can't steal the ball.
This was always going to be a contentious one in the game, particularly on a night when it's very slippery like that. And
I'll tell you what worried me about that one, Pete, was the fact the player was looking to pass. Now, had the player tackling him gone in to make the tackle, he'd have got the ball away. He was virtually committed to go for the ball to stop it.
there's not a grey area, it's a black area.
Good example of it for sure. Brendan Hall again with the restart. Dummying this time. In his way was Nella. 10 metres out. Blindside switch for Salvatore. Salvatore charging, ball back inside for Marshall, went astray. Picked up nicely by Borton. Over the top. Beecraft. Every time they look as though they're going to score, the Gold Coast continue to scramble. Borton once more. Short ball for Sherlock. 5 metres away. And they hold out again, the Gold Coast. Borton. Inside was Beecraft. McGann looking frustrated at dummy half. Sinclair. Too easy. One out stuff from East. Last tackle. Again, they might look for a kick. They're going to run it. Chance their arm. Great hands. At long last, they've got something to show. They took a chance on the last tackle. They came up with the goods. And some good passing out in the backs.
The Nissan Retail Show Eastern Suburbs with sheer weight of possession. Good pass from Sherlock. The run around with Brendan Hall. The pass over the top from Salvatore to Terry Hill. And Terry Hill goes in the corner for the first points.
East are always going to score provided they stay down this end long enough. But here you can see why Terry Hill was wanted by Eastern Suburbs so much in the off-season with that controversial draft decision. He always puts himself in the right place at the right time.
Only 19 years of age, and he gets his third try for the Roosters this year. Gert Sherlock with the kicking roll from out wide with a little bit of Kiwi flavour. Of course, tonight we say good evening to all those rugby league fans on the rugby league night out in Christchurch at the Canterbury Park Trots. Hope you're having some luck and backing a few winners. Way out on touch. The most difficult of all angles for the kickers in rugby league. Sherlock. The crowd are against him. He slips as he kicks it. He should slip every time. Great goal from Sherlock. 6-0 East over the Gold Coast. 6-0 East over the Gold Coast on Nissan Friday night. To one of our great rugby league fans, happy 70th birthday today to Norma Moxham of Taree. Best wishes from all of us here on the coast tonight.
Night football certainly different than playing in the day, and it's showing with Eastern Suburbs. And they're passing, not as sure as Wayne Pearce said at the start of the telecast tonight, that a lot of moisture, a lot of dew out there in the ground, and this football very slippery, and they're not all that confident with it. Thus, Eastern Suburbs handling not as sure as it's been in the last couple of great wins against some tall poppies in the Winfield Cup.
Mark Murray looking on. The Big East coaching staff, Jack Gibson behind him, assistant coach John Peard. Plenty of talent up there.
There's some football brain in that box.
Deacon plays it 40 metres out from his own line. Sherlock with the kick. Splits Sharp and also Gonzalez. Good chasing from McGann, Brendan Hall, Terry Hill, and Deacon. Good straight line. Long way for the Gold Coast forwards to travel back. They're already tired.
They've tackled very well. They've really done their job early in this game, and it's only been some poor kicking from their halfback Brett Rolls, which could have alleviated a lot of pressure for them. And they're down 6-0, and the weight of possession that East have had, I'm sure the Roosters would expect to be further ahead than that.
He had a shot of Tim Russell, who was out there in 44 on interchange. The kick coming round beautifully. Only inches in from the chalk. So much better from Rolls this time.
Yeah, this was a great kick, Graham. He had a lot of time. Eastern Suburbs defence hadn't moved up. He picked his mark and fired the ball there.
He's had a lot of practice too tonight.
Had a lot of practice at tackling.
And kicking. And, it's about time he got one where he wanted one.
Messy scrum, number 2 against the feed for the Gold Coast tonight. Ross, the backs haven't seen much of it. Sharp. In fact, the side hasn't seen much of it. Gonzalez moving across from his left wing. 6-0 to the Roosters. Clinton Moore from dummy half. Vorton chased from the marker area to nabbing. Rolls. Getting it back to Searle. 11 metres out on the last. The Roosters chanced their arm and kept it alive on the 6th. A little chip and kicked in behind the line from Brett Ross. Wasn't a good kick. Not the first time tonight that he hasn't really met the ball as he would have liked.
They had to put East back in their own in-goal area and put some pressure on. That chip and chase, even if he'd have kicked it exactly where he wanted it to, it would have been difficult to pick up on the run. It had to go into the in-goal and then a dive on it.
Yeah, I think that's the important point, Zorb, is there you're not really kicking for a try, you're kicking to get the ball back so you can have another shot at them from the next set of 6.
You've got to plan ahead, Bill, and that's what they're not doing.
Straight down the barrel for Sharp. Running confidently, but just as confidently taken by Deacon. Moore. Heard a quick call to get it out wide. Dixon.
That's gutsy stuff when you spend so much time in your own quarter. I think Malcolm Clift would be a lot happier if they did this.
That's through a new man on. Wayne Bartram in 22. The Gold Coast coach Malcolm Clift has watched a side who was tackled right throughout this first half so far. Long ball out. Gonzalez, little chip. He's got the head start. Beecraft got back there. Crowd calling for an offside play. I wasn't sure.
It was a good decision, I thought, by Brian Brand. Eastern Suburbs touched it, but then a Gold Coast player got his hand to it, and that nullified the offside.
Marshall keeping it alive for Silver. And Russell. Swarming defence. Salvatore going to bust them. A couple of passes out.
He's got to do more of that. He's very dangerous when he runs, and he's the player that's making easy yards.
Brendan Hall getting caught. Losing ground in that play of the ball. Terry Hill. A little chip. And a mess of it. So I thought Brett Ross might have just knocked that forward, even though he was facing his own line.
An interesting battle out there tonight between Terry Hill and his opposite Darryl Powell. Darryl Powell, the Englishman, he played at Balmain a couple of years ago, one of the best defensive centres in the game, and it's quite a tussle, worth watching.
So far, maybe just the points with Terry Hill getting the try. Now, penalty had already come to the Gold Coast.
Yes, and for that rule again, the sterling of the ball in the tackle, the Gold Coast player almost handed to him at first sight.
Prothero was questioning the decision. Well, yeah, that's a touch and go on as well, isn't it? Looks as if the ball was going to be lost by Powell.
It's a rule, I must say, I don't like. I think there's too many possibilities. I think we're going to see players hand over the ball in a ploy to get a penalty. I think they're just going to give it over, and the referee's then going to have to make the decision as to whether the ball was stolen or given up. Now, that's a decision I think that...
Just giving them a bit more work to do, and they've already got too much on their plate.
Exactly right.
We're having enough trouble with it on replay. Ball was touched. Once they haven't found touch from the penalty, and this time they don't do it cleanly again. They still should get it back through the scrum. There'll be some harsh words from Malcolm Clift about their kicking.
You're really not penalised, are you, for not putting the ball out in this situation? You should win the scrum, although there've been 2 go against the feed tonight.
The Gold Coast have got those. Now Rolls and Ross on the run around. Difficult ball out. First tackle, and they lose it. And they might even be punished. Well, if Hill had been able to keep it alive, there was a chance on. Gordon. Russell quickly to the line to carry it on the east forwards. McGann back to his best in recent weeks.
This is a holiday resort. They're playing holiday-style football, the Gold Coast, throwing 30-metre passes, first tackle from a scrum win inside the opposition territory.
They've won 2 out of 3 here at Seagulls Stadium this year. Now, up it goes. Bouncing cleanly for the Roosters, but it's on the last, so it'll be a handover. Plenty of Gold Coast players there.
Not too many keen to try and take it.
Yeah, that sort of football, that very open football where you're moving the ball around, that's fine if things are going for you. You've done the hard work early in the match and you know you've got the opposition at your mercy and things are panning out. But when you're trying to ease your way into a game and you're down by 6 points to 0 and it's wet conditions, I don't think it's the way to go.
This is where they need Lewis, isn't it? I mean, he would not be attempting to play this sort of game. And I'm sure Malcolm Clift, they don't call him Shifty for nothing. I mean, he's as cunning as they come and he wouldn't want them to be spreading it like this, I'm sure.
Well, it might be the goods though this time. Chopped off by Beecraft. Last tackle. Simpkins realised as he was taking to the line that somebody's got a kick. They got home with a good kicking game against Newcastle and they've lost the plot tonight so far. Prothero. Right near halfway already on the first. Deacon. The bounce away from Dixon. He chases him and throws him to the ground. Hill. 40 metres out from the Gold Coast line. Same story right throughout this first half. Russell. Still trying to run a little bit one out at times, east through the forwards. Vorton. Beecraft. McGann, good hands. Brendan Hoyle with the overlap. Deacon puts down a simple one. Regulation stuff. Perfect pass out to him. And he puts it down. It is 6-0 East. Nissan Friday night and the Roosters ahead by 6. They've lost it again on the first tackle. Help. Back-to-back scrums for them and they lose it on the first of the 6.
Well, the 5'8" is a mile away from his halfback. He's only a little fellow, Rolls, and he simply can't pass it as far as Ross has positioned himself from the scrum. Surely they'll get closer.
Marshall, he's trying to get closer to the line. Russell. Once more there's an overlap out wide. Deacon still with Prothero outside. He elected to go to Salvatore. 10 metres out. Back to the line go the Coast. Silver. Marshall giving directions from dummy half. McGann cutting a man out. Hill, the try scorer, beats one, and Hill, he scored the first. Now he draws in the defence, and if they're going to continue coughing up the ball, the Coast, it will be this story all night for the Roosters. They get their second.
They're handing this game to East on a platter. On the Nissan replay, ball out wide from McGann. Terry Hill, strong, looks for his winger, throws the pass over the top. Good hands by Jeff Orford, and he runs it around in a better position for Sherlock.
Eastern Suburbs always had the numbers here. Once that pass was made, that allowed Terry Hill to get on the outside of his man with a fend. Then he beat another man, sucked the winger in, fired a pass over the top, and Jeff Orford was unmarked and went round to improve his position.
Yeah, Eastern Suburbs showed a bit of depth in this play here, and it's something that's been lacking in their game. Huey McGann calling the shots as usual. The strength of this man, Terry Hill, offloads one, passes it out wide, and Eastern Suburbs go over for a very important try.
Jeff Orford, only 20 years of age. The poker machine tech. A gamble out wide, and he gets the try. 100% from Sherlock after that great goal from out wide. He's got 12 goals this year. The easier angle for him, about 15 metres to the side of the post. It remains 100% for Sherlock. And 2 converted tries for the Roosters. They lead 12 points to 0.
At the entrance is 12, Seagulls win.
So, plenty of mistakes
They should
from the
be
Gold Coast and their hands.
They should be in this game, Graham. I mean, you know, they, as you said, 2 scrum wins, giving possession up both times on the first tackle, and you just can't win football games against a well-drilled, well-organised side like Eastern Suburbs. That is just football suicide of the highest order.
They're just making a tackling practice for themselves. That's all they've done in the first 40.
And they've done it well, to give them credit.
Silva. Quicker play of the balls from the Roosters now. Russell. It stepped that beat Searle first up. But there was cover on the inside from Herring and Bartram. Beecraft. The Roosters on the attack with one more tackle. Through the hands of Sherlock. He couldn't handle it. Silva can. Silva trying to run it. Floating it out. Orford puts it up. Sharp is there, climbing, and he gets it. Taking the heat off, but they're back inside their 22 again. And the Gold Coast at home tonight without Wally Lewis, who was on State of Origin duty, but he's still here tonight. He's sidelined with Wayne.
Yeah, Wally, you started off the season in the eyes of some critics a little bit sluggishly, but you answered them in the best possible way with the state match.
Well, I've been pretty happy all year, Wayne. I had a couple of injury problems, that was the only thing, but a couple of blokes kept writing how unfit I was and how my form in the games wasn't any good. The guys that were giving me that criticism had only been to one Seagulls training, or one game all year, Seagulls games, and never been to a training session. Anyway, if they want to criticise me, well, I'll accept that. It's just up to me to try and prove them wrong.
I'm sure the Seagulls will love to have you out there tonight for a lot of the reasons, but none more than your kicking game. They seem to be struggling in that area.
Yeah, it's very strange. Last week, that was probably the best aspect of the Seagulls game. Their kicking game against Newcastle was absolutely first class, and we really expected to go on with the job tonight. They look to be really having a go at Brett Rolls from Market, trying to tie his kicking game down, and they're doing it very well so far, but we certainly do have to improve it in the second half.
Even though I'm a Blue, I've got to wish you all the best for the state game, and may the best team win.
We hope so.
Thanks, Wally.
It's going to be a great game, State of Origin 2. Good luck to both sides. Vorton's going to get in the bombing act. Sharp races up to it, but didn't get there. But he will get a penalty for McGann being in the way and just dropping a shoulder. That was the signal from Brian Grant. There's the siren. Play still to continue.
The Gold Coast just haven't come to terms with the high kick, and they're quite happy to take the tap, get in the shed, and I'm sure Malcolm Cliff is waiting for them.
He will have plenty to say. At Side, they've been doing all the tackling here. East with this lead on Nissan Friday night, though, 12 points to 0. We're underway. Nissan Friday night, second half action. And the Gold Coast with plenty more work ahead of them. Salvatore from deep. Struggles through a couple and nearly unloads. Just from dummy half goes Jeff Orford. Penalty against the Gold Coast inside the 5, is it? Or goes back to the marker area. And Brian Grant has got the Seagulls for holding the man down in the tackle.
It's imperative that the Gold Coast start this second half well. They've got to put some pressure on Eastern Suburbs. East have had it all their own way at the Gold Coast tonight, and they've got to put some pressure on. You never know what happens when you put pressure on the side. But Wayne Pearce, it's imperative that they score first in the second half.
It sure is, and to do that, they've got to put some pressure on. And as was pointed out at halftime by Coach Malcolm Cliff, they've got to keep some pressure on Eastern Suburbs with a big kicking game. And Paul Shaw, Malcolm Cliff had a last-minute change of mind. He put Paul Shaw on the field, and off comes Brett Ross.
So some changes. Had to do a lot of tackling. 111 tackles, 17 to Nella, 15 to Simpkins. Only 78 required by East. McGann with 12. Salvatore just the one behind. Now Sherlock. Switching play across the ruck for Salvatore, who turns his back. That can be dangerous. Now Shaw out there, into the line.
Well, of course, he's got a lot of options in attack, and that's something that the Gold Coast didn't have in the first half.
Vorton gives an option for Beecraft, who tried to keep the ball on the toe last tackle. There's nobody back in cover. Sharp had to rush up from fullback. Now Vorton goes deeper. Waiting under it is Moore. And he's taken easily by Brendan Hall. A kick that was a pretty easy one for Moore. Just wasn't quite high enough from Vaughton. Rolls playing it right in front of his post. Nella. They start the second half just like the first. The Gold Coast some mistakes and defending the line.
Well, you know, I mean, there's a ball changing hands in the tackle. Was it left on the ground or was it stolen? And no penalty.
Clean call from Grant. The Roosters will start through Russell. McGann goes without it. Marshall still showing it. 10 metres out in front of the posts. They've already got 2 tries. Sherlock looks for the third and he looks for Silver. Silver stepping and Millie stepping right through. 5 metres out, Marshall burrowing. He was about to reach out when Dixon got there. Vaughton cutting men out to Brendan Hall, a turn, hands and knees caught from behind, last tackle.
Good pass from Vaughton there to Brendan Hall, who has been one of these best players this year. Hall just caught with a try line just a couple of metres away, and that would have been game, set and match for the Gold Coast. They can't afford to let East in early because this game could end up a rather embarrassing scoreline against them if they do allow a try in early in the second half.
And speaking of Brendan Hall, Coach Jack Gibson during the week rated him his most valuable player.
He certainly had a good year, Wayne, and he's been very consistent. Of course, he's one of the most experienced players. I think this young fellow, Silver, is not long out of a permanent first-grade spot.
He's very dangerous every time they give him the ball, and if he keeps receiving the ball in the Gold Coast half, I think they're going to be in big trouble.
Having trouble getting the ball deep. The Roosters, all the action has been at one end.
They're having trouble getting the ball deep because your kicking game basically is a result of your forward power. You know, if you get the ball going forward well, you'll kick well.
Now out the wing, Prothero. Good ball back inside for Deacon. Trying to push him out over the sideline, they don't. Prothero helps supporting. Vaughton. Beecraft. He continues to hunt wherever Vaughton is. Strong run. Last tackle. How many times have we seen the Gold Coast survive on the last? Sherlock to Hall. Plenty of numbers. The ball was left alone and well. Great fend from Terry Hill. Now there was some clever play in the back line because there was a call on Shaw to leave a pass alone. That gave him the extra man and Hill gets a double. All smiles.
Yeah, certainly all smiles for Terry Hill. The important player here is the big front rower, Salvatore, out wide. There he is. Good quick pass out to Terry Hill. Hill fends off a defender, goes for the corner. Try number 2 for Terry Hill.
Good fundamentals here from Eastern Suburbs. They had extras out in the back line and knew how to use them. A ball there from Hill across the face. There was the front rower, Salvatore, scouting out wide, and you've got to admire a player like Terry Hill, a player who, once he gets a sniff of the try line, knows how to get it over it.
He's enjoying his rugby league at Eastern Suburbs. Controversy all settled about where he was going to play, and he's giving some great value to them.
Well, he's a professional, but is he playing where he wanted to play? The answer to that is no. And that's the draft.
Doesn't show at the moment.
It certainly doesn't because he's a professional player, but if Hill had his choice, he'd be in black and white, not red, white and blue.
Well, that was his choice. That was his choice 2 months ago. His choice might be different now.
It's like marriage, mate. Once you're in, you're in. You can't change.
2 from 2 for Sherlock.
I'll say nothing.
He's already kicked 1 from out wide. Sherlock doesn't look as though it will have the legs, just falling short across the face of the post. The Roosters increase it to 16 points to 0.
Seagulls.
16-0. East over the Gold Coast on Nissan Friday night. Just what the Gold Coast didn't need. The Roosters' first scorers after the break. McGann away for Salvatore. Quite a sight when he winds up.
He certainly has turned his game around, Craig Salvatore. There was a lot of undisciplined play about his football prior to the season. He's always had a lot of ability, and that ability's coming through now with Mark Murray, Jack Gibson and Johnny Peard also doing a good job there at Eastern Suburbs, and they're all men that insist on discipline, and that's what he's showing Salvatore, and he's reaped the benefit with a great contract.
Sherlock playing it back. Salvatore wants another surge. Good one, too, up the middle. Marshall picking it up well. McGann. Grant was there.
Beautifully positioned, the referee.
McGann was away down to the last line of defence. Some interchanging of passes, good support. Marshall looking for McGann.
Look at the referee. I often criticise him. You couldn't be in a better spot than that.
He might have been in a good spot. I don't think it was forward.
It was forward, no doubt about it.
I've got no doubt it wasn't.
We beg to differ.
We do. East come up with another one against the fee, so they get one back. The Gold Coast got two in the first half. Now the Roosters fumble. The Seagulls look as though they've come up with the ball through Dixon. Shaw. He knows how important it is to get something started now. Nella. They must forget what the football is.
They just don't like doing the hard work, do they? You know, they get it and they fire it across their back line, and it looks pretty good, but it's not getting them up the other end of the field, and that's where they've got to be. You know, before you can do these sorts of things, you've got to be getting up towards the opposition's quarter.
Searle. For Gonzalez.
Now that looked terrific, and they made 5 metres.
Shaw. Using a player on a runaround. May have been a Shepherd. Getting it back for Bartram. Bartram loses it. I think it was through the shock of realising where they were in the other side's 22.
Yeah, good little run from Shaw, and he certainly is a dangerous player, and he's played first-grade grand final, so he knows what it's all about. And I think that's a smart move by Malcolm Cliff, but as Bill said, if the forwards don't make the hard yards, then the easy ones just don't come.
It's been their problem since they came into the Winfield Cup. They can produce performances like last week against Newcastle, but lack of consistency lets them down. That'll come, but I'm sure their coaches are tearing their hair out waiting.
By the same token, I don't think that Eastern Suburbs supporters should be doing handstands over their performance tonight. They've had enough football to win 5 games, and you know, they've come up with a couple of good tries. The last one by Terry Hill by a long way their best, but it's not the type of football that they've been playing in recent weeks.
Yeah, I'm not going to start on the footballs again.
No, the type of football.
Well, it is a wet ground. That is to the defence of both sides. 121 tackles in, as far as possession is concerned, for East. Most of them have been down the other end. Herring. It rolls into Shaw. Rare opportunity for the backs. Powell showing it once. Now to Ross.
Brett Ross is back on the field. He replaced Danny Sharp.
Just outside the 22. No option inside or out as the defence comes up in a straight line. That's a sorry statistic. It's all right if you're an East fan. To the in goal. Picked up nicely by Orford. He makes a good surge down to the 22. All too easy. Sherlock. 16-0 to the Roosters. McGann making sure that it's all safe.
It's good to have an experienced, cool head there, and Huey McGann is a very, very good captain. He's one of the most experienced players in the competition, and you can just see the settling effect that it has upon this Eastern Suburbs side.
Beecraft. Last tackle against East, right on the halfway line. The difference when your forwards get over that advantage line and give you the opportunity to put a kick down deep. That's what we've been trying to say.
What an improved player he is, Kurt Sherlock. When he was first in Sydney with Eastern Suburbs as an All Black, he promised a lot and didn't produce much. He played mainly in the centres, and I think he's found his spot at halfback, and he's certainly guiding this Eastern Suburbs side well. A very much improved player.
And speaking of halfbacks, Bobby Goulding played in the reserve grade tonight. He probably would have been on the bench, but he suffered a shoulder problem. But whilst on the field in the reserve grade, he played very, very strongly.
It's the young man from Wigan who plays as deputy to Andy Gregory. And that English side, the great English side, 7-6 the scrums to the Gold Coast, but Goulding's got a tough job to get past Sherlock.
Certainly has. I mean, he would not surrender that position. He's their goal kicker, and he's certainly been one of their best players this year. He won't be moved without a real battle, I'll tell you.
Determined run from Horsnell. Sure. Trying to link up. He gets through himself. Really cracks on the pace. Over the top to Gonzalez. Drags it in. Superb. They've waited a long time. They may not have had much ball, but they've laid on a gem. Gonzalez gets a try, but Shaw has ignited it here for the Seagulls.
Well, it's been a long time coming. Let's have a look at it on the Nissan replay. Brilliant play by little Paul Shaw, this man. As he skirts the defence, McGahn waited too long. He was gone, Shaw, and he knows how to pass the football. Look for support, over the top, beautiful hands by Ben Gonzalez. And Gonzalez, the former Penrith player, in for a magnificent rugby league try.
Every season a try jumps out and grabs you, and this is the one so far this year for mine. A brilliant individual effort there by Paul Shaw. Eastern Suburbs defence a little bit indecisive. Ben Gonzalez back inside like a good winger. That was fingertip control stuff, and he lunges over in the corner.
Ben Gonzalez, formerly from the Panthers, 26 years of age. Most important try here on Nissan Friday night. The Roosters. Backs to the wall just a little as McGahn lays down the law because they were doing it so well. Malcolm Cliff with a little look in for his Seagull side.
You have to wonder whether it's great to play safety first with a player that does your kicking, like this fellow, Brett Rolls, or do you really gamble and play an attacking player like Shaw?
Worked for him against Newcastle.
With the interchange, you could have done both.
Totally different tactics up there. Now, is it online? It's not. But they climb back into it. They've got a chance still. Eastern Suburbs 16, the Gold Coast 4. (16-4) on Nissan Friday night as the Gold Coast spark a little. Deacon with this restart. To the man who made the break, Paul Shaw. Quinton Moore. Wrapped up by Vaughton.
And Coach Mark Murray obviously feels the Roosters are doing reasonably comfortably because he's given Craig Salvatore a breather. He's taken him off because of those hard yards he's earned, and on is Steve Hardy.
Hardy out there in 24. Much better as they set themselves for the kick. But the radar is way offline. And this pressure will mount now with a scrum back on your own 22 and the feed to the opposition.
Well, it's happened all night for the Gold Coast. It doesn't look as though it's going to change. They just get the sniff of maybe getting back into the game. Once again, the kick over the sideline. Eastern Suburbs with every opportunity now to hit straight back.
I tell you what, they better watch this blind side because they've sucked the fullback out of position.
Now Vaughton, that was a miracle that he picked up there at his bootlaces. Thrown straight at the feet. Goes back to where the scrum was. Tim Russell. And to work on those metres that were gained so valuably by Salvatore when he was out there. Switching to Sherlock. Likewise for Hardy. Hardy to Silver to go up the middle. 6 and 7 metres out from the line. Again to Beecraft, who's worked hard all night long. Just in front of the posts. 1 metre away, a little knock on. Beecraft questions that there was a Seagulls print in there. Brian Grant wasn't listening. Right under the black dot it was. There might have been a hand in there from Paul Shaw. Gold Coast to work away from their line. Powell to play it. Now Clinton Moore busting a couple of tackles and straightening.
Good run from Clinton Moore. I'd like to see the Englishman Powell and particularly Dixon. Dixon, I thought, was one of the best in the Test series for Great Britain, and he's a type of player that really should be giving value for money and inspiring this Gold Coast forward pack. He's one of the best forwards in the game, but he hasn't shown it that much tonight.
Shaw brought to a full stop in that tackle.
And Eastern Suburbs not playing any second line of defence on the first 3 tackles of each set, so I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Paul Shaw put a little chip over at some stage.
Not a good kick from Ross. Off the side of the boot, but he's chased downfield. So it's Bartram and Nella. The handling errors against the Roosters.
You would expect that with all the ball they've had.
They've had miles and miles of it. Orford. Marshall continues to be one of East's best. Back they go into Gold Coast territory. Penalty will go against Horsnell for pushing over the East dummy half. Just pushed him out of the way. He was waiting to get the ball. And Horsnell way offside. Just making the tackle, getting up, and pushes Marshall over.
And Brett Horsnell, a pretty fiery character. In fact, he and Terry Hill have been having a verbal slanging match right throughout this game. So it'll be interesting to see if that flares up or not.
Hill doesn't need to say anything. He's got 2 tries. Beecraft to just outside the 22.
Had another strong game tonight, Beecraft. Run very strongly. Offloaded on occasions. His defence has been very solid, and another very impressive display by this young second rower for Eastern Suburbs.
Knocks it back, knocks it on, said Brian Grant.
I thought it went back.
No, he pulled it towards the opponent's goal. It doesn't matter what way you face it.
On the first tackle. He was trying to keep it alive here. A little gap there up the middle.
I'm a Chinaman if that was a knock on instead of a Greek.
6 more tackles. Roosters in possession. Borton hunting up the middle. Do a struggle most of the night for this Gold Coast side. Trying to chop off play, force the Roosters back up the middle all the time. Sherlock missing a man out to Brendan Hall. They had some numbers, but he couldn't get it out there. Don't know how he dragged that back. He looked as though he was going to lose that one. Marshall loses it. Shaw's got it, and Shaw tries to get away. He does from Terry Hill.
So the legs give him good value, don't they?
It might be a slow track. It's a mudlark. Ross, short ball, and it was a line ball as well. Nella to Moore. Moore gets it back for Powell. Standing very wide as rolls. Also Dixon. Dixon a one-hander and a good ball away, but Durham wasn't expecting it.
It was a good ball too. That was a sign of a class player. I've been looking for him to do a little bit more. That one-handed pass underneath from the Englishman. Let's have a look at Dixon here. Look at him get underneath. That's a good pass. Too good for Durham, really. He didn't know it was coming. It came out of nowhere, but it should have been a clean break for the Gold Coast.
They had a man left over. Now it's the Roosters with man left over as Deacon. Takes it to Moore. Ross is trying to meet him for pace, and he gets him. But he gets him only 5 metres away. The Gold Coast trying to get back in time. The Roosters deep to the right. Prothero wrapped up too easily. Now Brendan Hall screaming for it to go wide. Dummying and then looking for McGann. Still it's 5 metres away, but they're closer to the posts. Switching it, Sherlock. Hardy on a blind. Hardy trying to power over. Hardy gets it down, does he? There's a nod from the touch judge. Brian Grant looks up and gives the try to Hardy, just a switch of play, and it was too easy for them to power over.
Listen, replay will show that Steve Hardy powers over for the try. Up the blind side goes Sherlock, gives it to Hardy. He's fresh, played in reserve grade, on as a replacement, and makes the line on the Nissan replay.
Yeah, Steve Hardy made this look a lot easier than it was. He took the ball, he had a bit of work to do. He went through one tackle there, then went through another one, and forced his way through yet another defender.
Steve Hardy on as interchange. A try that gets them away again, East.
Former Australian schoolboy, a lot expected of Steve Hardy when he came into grade league, and he's a very strong player and can handle a couple of positions.
Bit of a chat after after a touch judge's call on Clinton Moore. Not quite sure what it was all about, just a warning. Sherlock with this kick from out wide. Now next week, look for some details of a super new competition through Late Night League and Rugby League Week magazine. We'll be giving an opportunity to all our fans to end up with a weekend for two at the fabulous Royal Pines Resort on the beautiful Gold Coast. One of the best resorts there is on the beautiful east coast of Australia, whether it's tennis or golf. Plenty to do there. And we can read all about that in Rugby League Week in association with Men of League 1992, a new calendar coming out next year after the success of the one from the previous year. So look for that in Rugby League Week next Wednesday. Sherlock trying to bring it round. Unsuccessful. But doing it well through a lot of tries, the Roosters. 20-4 over the Gold Coast. 20-4 East over the Gold Coast. That last try makes it 204 points now, scored against the Gold Coast this year.
Graham, I'd like to take this chance. I know all of the television sets will be switched on down at Wagga Base Hospital, and take this chance to send a cheerio call to all of those young footballers down at Wagga that were hurt in that horrific bus accident last Sunday. We're thinking of you, and get well soon from all of the Channel 10 team.
Yeah, I look forward to them overcoming that and getting back on the paddock. Best wishes from everybody. The Roosters, another switch for Sherlock. Silver loses it in the tackle. Back for the scrum. The Gold Coast weren't there quick enough to pick it up.
And Craig Salvatore was getting cold down here on the bench, so he asked to go back on, and Paul Vaughton's off.
Salvatore on and Vaughton with a spell.
Age gives way to youth.
I don't think Fatty will ask to go back on. He's too smart for that.
He's well rugged up down in the sideline. He doesn't intend going back on, I don't think.
He could be at the casino.
Rolls. Just inside East Territory. Simpkins. Another travelling match for us in the 10 sports team, of course. Now thanks to Ansett. There's two Queenslanders. Just have a brief conversation sideline. Wally Lewis, the disappointment for him for his Gold Coast side. Vaughton racking up another win for East, it looks like. Ross, he's been trying a few kicks throughout this match. This one works for him. He had Horsnell. He didn't give it to him. Last tackle. Shaw. Through the hands of Rolls. Herring to Simpkins. Simpkins turns the other way. They fumble. Again, when they get down there, they just let it all loose. Can't keep the ball in control. Deacon hit strongly by Dixon. Garn getting some attention in back play, telling the trainer about an ankle as his team fumbles. Now, Brian Grant giving the penalty to East. Vaughton might have to get back out there.
He may have to. Huey McGann doesn't look all that good at the moment, clutching that left ankle. And he wears the low-cut boots too, Huey McGann. Let's have a look and see. There's a player underneath him in Brett Rolls, and that happened in the tackle. He wears the cut-downs, which is unusual for forwards, and certainly not giving him the protection that players get for those high boots.
Unusual in your day.
Certainly we wore the old miners boots, but I'd like to see them with the...
You wore the ones with the nails on the bottom, Zorb, didn't you?
Yeah, I wore the pit boots, mate.
Hardy going without it. Russell, 10 metres away East. Sherlock had a lot of success with switching. Brendan Hall nearly getting through up the middle. Marshall, threw it twice now. A good in pass, that will be a reward if Beecraft gets that down. That's a try. Sherlock has been looking for runners inside and out. A willing worker in Beecraft to wrap it up here for the Roosters.
He's had a very fine game, Kurt Sherlock. He's directed beautifully. Inside pass on the Nissan replay to Beecraft, and the tall second row forward reaches out for a simple try.
Yeah, have a look at Sherlock here. He played well. Watch him take this defender out with him, then got the ball back inside to Beecraft, who worked well into the hole.
Yeah, poor market defence here from the Gold Coast. They didn't cover the blind side, and as a result of that, the hard-working Beecraft has come from the ball 100 miles an hour, virtually unopposed, and his momentum carries him over.
23 years of age, signing a new contract this week with the Roosters. A man who has been to famous Eton College.
That's a good background for rugby league.
Sherlock has had a big night here.
Certainly has. He's been one of East's best tonight.
2 tries in 5 minutes. Taking his time, bringing this one around nicely. It becomes a very big scoreline now. Eastern Suburbs 26, the Gold Coast 4. Gold Coast fans very disappointed after the display of their side last week against Newcastle. Nice make-up. Sherlock will get it. Enjoying this change to the halfback role. And the East coaching staff enjoying this win here.
Final win for East too. This will take them to 10 points in the Winfield Cup. Now they're going to be one side that is going to do well when the representative games are on. The only player they could likely lose is of course Sherlock, who could go to the they're on 11 points after tonight, so they're in the top 5 with Illawarra playing Manly in the second half of the split round. So it's a good position for them to be in, and perhaps Sherlock to the New Zealand team, perhaps Salvatore to another team, but they're not going to lose much while the other teams are going to be under strength.
Swinging arm there from Paul Dixon.
That's allowed in England.
He's found out it's not here. Beecraft. Long time between drinks if you look at Eastern Suburbs. Grand final appearance back in 1980. Not a lot since.
They had a fairly solid year in 1987. They made the semi-finals and looked like they were going to do something, and then it just fell apart for them.
It's been disappointing the last couple of years, but it hasn't taken long for the new coaching panel there at Eastern Suburbs to get them back on the track, and it certainly is a much improved, particularly in discipline, and they look as though they want to play football now, and that certainly wasn't the case in the last couple of years. Bit of a flare-up.
A little bit late to get frustrated now and let it go. Touch judge in to give his report to Grant. Huey McGann goes over. He puts in his tuppence worth. Ray Herring, the skipper of the Gold Coast, joins in. Ball came loose and Herring went in with a swinging arm on the tackle after the ball had really gotten clear. That was late.
Yeah, a lot of frustration in that.
Grant's got to work it all out.
Dixon's there just for an international flavour. He's trying to learn the language.
Well, he's going to learn the penalty. They don't give a penalty. Well, the replay really looked as if Herring should have been picked up for that one. Ross, Shaw, back to Powell, Powell to Ross. 20 missed tackles from the Seagulls, but they have had to play without the ball for most of the game.
They've made some nice passages of play, you know, some good work, some good interchange, passing in the back line, but they just don't spend enough time up the other end of the field to get full use of it.
And when they have got penalties like this, on occasions they haven't found the sideline. And yet, they say that's how they laid on the win against Newcastle through the kicking game of Brett Rolls. 26-4 to East. Nella. Surprising because they are normally so tough to beat at home. In round 1 of the Winfield Cup, they nearly got home against West. They were only beaten in the dying stages when they travelled to the Bruce Stadium against Canberra. So they could be on a possible 9 points. More scrappy play.
There's the ball thrown away. He's learnt very quickly. He threw that ball away, Dixon, and there you have the referee. Unsighted, I know, but there's the folly of that rule. Let's have a look at it on the Nissan replay. And there's the ball just being released by the player. There was no hand on the football.
He totally dropped that, didn't he? Just
it.
took his arms off it.
And I think he dropped it on purpose.
Guilty, says the panel, as Vorton gets back on the field.
Yeah, Paul Vorton back on for Steve Hardy, and that's the final interchange. They've used up their 6 interchanges now, Eastern Suburbs.
And the Gold Coast have just about used up their energy in defence. The spark is about gone in attack.
Certainly has. Nella knocked on there, and he's been a real worker for the Gold Coast in defence tonight.
Brendan Hall showing his style as he cuts loose, getting it out to Prothero. Prothero meeting up with a mile of cover, finished off by Searle. Deacon to dummy half. Hall wants it quickly. Looking for the long ball out. Sherlock taken by Gonzalez. Messi play the ball. Still gets to Vorton. Then Beecraft. Marshall from dummy half. Nella was up quickly. Wasn't sure if he was onside or not. Penalty will go against him for not letting Marshall up cleanly. Do you kick for goal or do you put it over the sideline?
Goal kicker, you want a shot, but I suppose Huey McGann might try and work a few of their set plays.
Well, they're not doing their points for and against any half tonight, 26-4 at the moment, and it's certainly a good performance on the scoreboard for Eastside. They probably would have wanted a better display, but in the end they've done what they've had to do. They're going to go home with the 2 points, which is not always easy here at the Gold Coast, particularly under lights and particularly when you've got good form behind you. And they expected a lot tonight, East, and they've done the job fairly well.
This man's done it superbly. Sherlock, one of his rare mistakes, passing to the wrong colours. On their own 22. Reminder about Big League. Available at all news agents this week, and also at all the grounds with the official teams in it. Round 10 of the Winfield Cup. Nice article too in Big League this week from Reg Gasnier. Phil Gould proving master of the coaching art. He has the Panthers back on top of the comp and online as the favourites for 91.
I don't think you get much argument there.
Marshall back with a little chat with Huey McGann.
Well, McGann tried to pull the young fella away here and just tell him to get back on side. I mean, it's silly him getting involved. He's straight out of a garden, and you know, he could get a job there in his spare time. He shouldn't be in there mixing it with bigger players. And McGann was telling him exactly that.
Been a bit of niggle between the two hookers. Herring's been involved in a few incidents.
Yeah, but when you're 5'2" and about 8 or probably 12 stone at the most, wringing wet in an army raincoat, you don't go looking for trouble.
What do they say about the size of the dog in the fight?
They get kicked to death.
I didn't think it went quite like that.
No.
Shaw gets it to Searle. 101 tackles in the opposition half. It's the most amazing statistic I think we've put up this year. Just 31 for the Gold Coast. 32 now, but it wasn't completed as they lose it.
Another pass again from Dixon. They've got to learn that this fellow can pop a pass. That's not happening out there at the moment. I suppose the conditions late in the game, they're tired, the ball's slippery because of the dew. But I criticised him early, but I think that you know, late in this game he's put his mark on it a little bit with a couple of signs that he could be a good buy, and he does work in defence, which is rare for an English forward.
Yeah, he'd be an even better player in a working pack.
Well, he would be, but he's got to live with the fact that he's in one that doesn't work, which is why he's on a nice part of Australia getting paid big biggies.
Well, that's a hard call because they've had to do plenty of work tonight.
Yeah, exactly right.
26-4.
Only because they've played unintelligently with the ball in their own half.
Vorton getting it to Hall, who's made a few runs in the last couple of minutes. Deacon with a good ball to Silver. Last tackle. Vorton to Russell to Sherlock. I don't think Sherlock was aware that it was on the last. Seemingly he wasn't. Handover for the Gold Coast. Well inside the last 5 minutes as Herring takes it up. The Roosters are now putting pressure on the 5. A few teams will be looking over their shoulder. Little knock on against Searle. Add that to the stats.
Certainly was, and
That's the sort of thing we were talking about.
yeah, they just haven't retained the football. They've had plenty of it, but they've coughed it up fairly early in every count. Another good game tonight from Terry Hill too. 2 tries for him, and he's done everything right in the centre, and he certainly is a fine young player.
Pete, I suppose there were people saying in the off-season when that Terry Hill controversy blew up, well, who is Terry Hill? You know, what makes him so special? Well, we've had a few glimpses here.
Well, once you knew Warren Ryan was chasing him, you knew that indeed he was going to be a class player.
Talking about that wind putting pressure on the 5, it makes an important one for Newcastle now and West on Sunday in our MMI big game. 10 from 6:30. Marshall to Hall. Hall getting it to the extras. Deacon with Prothero to the corner, should get there. Number of times that they've caught them wide. They keep on catching them out. Prothero joins the try scorers list with only about a minute of play remaining.
Yes, and on the Nissan replay we'll say Eastern Suburbs getting the ball wide. Marshall, busy game, getting the ball out wide to Brendan Hall. Hall, a good long pass over the top there to the winger Prothero. Now gets it, and Prothero in the corner, and Shakespeare would be proud of him.
Yeah, Brendan Hall's gone about his business very quietly here tonight, but that was a beautifully timed position pass over the top to Salvatore. That's where he likes to be. On to Deacon, finally out to Prothero, who crashes over.
20 years of age, Mark Prothero. Salvatore has joined in twice out wide tonight and got balls over the top, the tall man.
Congratulations to Billy Johnson and Terry Cook for the birth of their son.
They're certainly using him well, aren't they? That's the second try that he's been involved with out wide. And it's a ploy that they're using, Eastern Suburbs. He's big and strong, and over the top or around the corner, he's very, very good at getting the ball away, Craig Salvatore. It's a trait that he's picked up very, very well, and they've used it to great extent tonight.
Sherlock. Shining light for the Roosters. His kicking game is, I was going to say spot on, it has just taken the paint off as it goes under the bar. Eastern Suburbs 30, the Gold Coast 4. Inside the last minute. Gold Coast trying to hurry with the restart. Some may be keener than others. Prothero. Shoulder charge from Searle. Salvatore still wants another run at them. A 3-year deal for him.
It's good to see he's still wanting to work, even with the game wrapped up at 30-4. They're all still as keen as they were at the start of the game, and that's a good sign, and certainly a danger sign for anyone playing the Roosters in the next few weeks. They certainly have been a surprise packet in 1991 so far. Long way to go, though, of course.
Simpkins will play at 32 metres out. We make a time up. Ross won't get a chance to put a boot to it. The siren signals the end of play. And that is the end of the night for the Seagulls, who have been hammered on the scoreline by a solid Eastern Suburbs. It can be a dangerous game up here on the coast, but it's 30-4. Try scorers were a double for Hill, Orford, Hardy, Beecraft and Prothero. 3 goals to Sherlock. The 4 points coming up. The lone try scorer for the Seagulls, Ben Gonzalez. A difficult selection coming up tonight. Plenty of good players for the Roosters in this one. We will be back with our decision on the Nissan Man of the match right after this.